Guys, are you ready for the ultimate showdown this weekend at UFC 298? Join me in the action by leaving your picks for the fights in the comments below. I have teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, and right now, new customers get a no-sweat bet. You can get a bonus bet back in the amount of your original bet if your pick doesn't hit. Minimum deposit $5. Sign up using my promo code Sonnen. And DraftKings has something for existing customers as well. All customers get SGP insurance every day. Get a bonus bet back if one leg of your SGP bet loses. Minimum number of legs required and max bet vary. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, do not worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. New customers, use my promo code Sonnen and you get a no sweat bet. So click on the link below and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Ilia Topuria, Volkanovski, first ones to the scale. So, fight's very interesting. Let me let you in on some massive inside baseball, okay? Every time two guys fight, both guys, prior to the fight, know who's going to win the fight. Now, does that disappoint you? Does it surprise you? And I think likely you will disagree heavily with the statement that I just made. But if you disagree with the statement that I just made, without ever knowing anything else about you, I will know that you have never been in a fight. I don't mean that condescending, by the way. The Super Bowl was last week. The 49ers and the Chiefs both knew who was going to win that game before the game started. Now, the reason I say that, if you're standing back before a fight and you're trying to give an analysis and ultimately make a prediction of who's going to win, that's where the interviews and the media and the press and the build-up is so important and so much more helpful than watching the actual training camp, than speaking to workout partners, than looking at footage and work that they've done in competition in the past. All of that is subsequent to the notion, do you believe you're going to win? And when you have somebody like Topuria, it's a very fascinating situation. I mean, it really is. Arrogant, I've heard him called. Confident, I've heard him called. But is it real? Is it sincere? Does he mean it? That ultimately is the question. He's on a 14-fight win streak. There are certain rules in history that are rules in fighting when it comes to picking fights. Let me give you one, okay? Because this whole thing's a riddle. I understand I'm speaking in circles, I'm speaking in riddles, but this is a riddle. Winners in the UFC fight guys that won their last fight. Guys that lost in the UFC fight guys next who also lost their last fight. Now, that's not a rule, but it is absolutely a policy. So we've got a situation where we have a guy who lost his last fight. Oh, by the way, in devastating fashion, he's not taking on a guy that just won his last fight. He's taking on a guy that's won his last 14 fights. Oh, by the way, the guy that's never lost is much younger. Oh, by the way, he's also the underdog. He's also ranked lower. And the guy who is ranked lower and who is the underdog is not the one bringing the belt. The one that was knocked out in his last fight is the one bringing the belt. I mean, it's a riddle. You just don't have these situations. I referenced the Super Bowl a moment ago. Well, you don't have that in football. You don't have a team in the Super Bowl, in any Super Bowl, that lost their last game. It doesn't work that way. So it's a very rare situation. I worked with Brett Okamoto, ESPN, earlier today. And Brett, during a betting show that he does with Ian Parker, they're saying, hey, look, if you're handicapping these fights, there's a stat you need to know. This is Brett talking. I got to give Brett credit for this. I didn't know this when he taught it to me. But he said nobody within the UFC has won a belt over 35 years of age at a division lower than 170 pounds. Now, that was Brett's words. What Brett meant would also be for defending, right? He's also talking about defending. And the one person who has done it was Tyron Woodley at welterweight. Oh, and by the way, he did it against Damian Maia, and Damian Maia was older than Tyron Woodley, so does it even count? And Brett's just saying, look, those things are very hard to get around. So is there any way that you believe that Volkanovski is going to win the fight. Now, I also want to talk to you about approaches. No, I'm telling you that Topuria's done everything right. I'm not sold on the idea that Topuria believes it. Now, I believe in Topuria, and I'm not looking to insult him in the least. He's ranked number 3 in the world. That feels right to me. But that's not what this match is about. This match is not about, are you really good? We know you're really good. It's not about, do you have a beautiful record? We know you have a beautiful record. It's not about, are you top 3 in a guy in the world? This match is purely about, are you the best? With no exception. That's what this is about. Number 3 sounds about right to me. Topuria did get here for to tell the story fairly, in a fashion that nobody else has got to Volk, which is they got to him without going through Max Holloway. So this is a matter of a two-sided coin for Topuria, which is he can have all the glory, and there will be no question if he beats Volk. And I will not say Volk got old, Volk's tired, Volk's not in his prime. Volk is all of those things. He is absolutely in his prime. And I'm not going to take away from a Topuria victory, should he get one, with any excuse for Volk. But the other side of it is the fall. And Topuria will not fall to number 1 contender. He will not fall to number 2. He will fall behind Max Holloway, at least in my opinion. So I just find it to be a very interesting spot. Topuria and Volk both know who's going to win this fight. And the great fights, by the way, as I keep making that statement, I love making that statement because I know it infuriates so many people. But it's the truth. And there are exceptions. It's not a perfect statement. And the great fights that you've seen, the absolute greats, the ones that go down in history, the ones that you will go back and talk about with your friends, or that you would even go back and rewatch, the real greats are the exceptions to the rules, where both guys, red corner, blue corner, champion and challenger, both truly believe they're going to win.